Hi, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about starter cultures and using them for making salami. Now, there are some really good resources on the internet about the actual starter cultures, about the different types of starter cultures. There's lots on the internet about how to do fermentation, the time, temperature and humidity to make fermented air-dried sausage. So I'm going to focus less on that. There's quite a lot to get through on the video. I've written a few things down that I'm going to go through step by step. I have produced a top 10 tips for making salami using starter culture. My focus is less on those points I've just mentioned, and it's more on the influence of the processing on the performance of the culture itself. So that's where my focus lies. I have produced the top 10 tips for making salami using starter cultures. I'm going to make that available to you. But during this video, I also want to introduce you to a document. It's a document that I found very useful. It's been produced by C.H.R. Hansen. Not many people know that this document exists. And it's not the easiest of documents to follow. It's quite detailed. I believe it's a translation from German. So there are some grammatical issues with the actual document itself, and some things I think are lost in translation. It's 40 pages long, and it deals with the very detailed subject of fermentation and making air-dried sausages and salamis. There are a couple of other volumes of this particular document detailing the use of cultures and mold spores for whole muscle cuts. I'll cover that in a separate video. But a lot of people would think that starter cultures were really the preserve of professional salami makers and big production facilities who make these for commercial purposes. But I think more and more these days you're seeing people making salamis at home, small batches, usually less than 10 kilos and usually more like 5 kilo batches. And that's what I want to focus on today, because that's the sort of salamis people are going to make at home. And I think more and more nowadays people aren't seeing it so much as a preserve of professional salami makers, and they're having a go themselves. Now, like I said, there's a lot of information on the internet about how to make salamis using starter cultures. Some of it's a bit dubious, some of it is conflicting. So I just want to clear up a few issues around that. But before I do, I just want to acknowledge that some information out there is very good. So there is lots of good information about how to create a fermenting cabinet and drying cabinet. So I'm not going to cover that here. There's also lots of information about the starter cultures themselves, what they contain and how you reconstitute them, and essentially how you, what kind of strains go into each of those starter cultures and their individual characteristics. So that's not my focus today. Perhaps in a future video I'll go into those in a little bit more detail. But like I said, today my focus is on the influence of processing on the performance of the culture itself. And that's what I want to talk a little bit more about now. So the meat manual is a quite detailed document. It's 40 pages long and the writing is very small. There's lots of very interesting graphs if you're into that sort of thing. It's got quite a few good little paragraphs here. So it starts off with the production of fermented dried sausage and goes through how that's really has been going on for hundreds of years. And it acknowledges that, making fermented sausage throughout the world is ostensibly the same process no matter which country you go to. The only variables are usually the meat and the seasoning mixes. But essentially the process stays pretty much the same. Talks about cultures in the production, the different types of cultures in the production of fermented sausage and the different styles you get from the different bacterial strains within those cultures. And that's all very interesting if you're looking to produce a particular style of salami or fermented sausage. It talks in great detail about the influence on processing parameters on the culture's performance. That's the bit that I want to really focus on today. Other paragraphs talks about guidelines for choosing CHR Hansen cultures. There's also a troubleshooting guide at the end. Lots of interesting graphs about pH drop and temperature profiles, which I think a lot of you geeks out there would find really interesting. Now, this is available on my website. There'll be a link in the description if you want to download a copy. I'll take you to a page on my website at coldsmoking.co.uk where you can, if you so desire, download this. There's also lots of other resources on that page that you can have access to as well if you have an interest in cured meats. When I talk about the influence of processing on the performance of the culture, that really is about how you are physically introducing the ingredients into the mix, when you introduce it, at what stage you introduce the fats, the lean, the salt, the starter culture, how you reconstitute the starter culture. The amount of starter culture that you use is vitally important, especially when you're doing small batches, and all that information is in that top 10 tips. So do head along to the website, follow the link in the description, and that will take you to the website where you can download a copy of that for yourself, completely free. If you like the video, please do like and subscribe. And if you've got any comments or questions that you'd like me to answer regarding the production of salami using starter cultures, I will be more than happy to answer them for you. And if I can't answer them, I'll certainly see if I can find the answer for you. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos we publish on this and other similar artisan food subjects. And in the meantime, have a good one.